Hi, this is Stephanie with Growing with the Woodpile, and today I was just making a video on how to repair those gray fabric bags, the issues I was having, which ran into a little bit of how to repair my drip irrigation. So I'm going to make a separate video and redo an intro, but this right here is what I call my garden kitty number one, but my gardening drip irrigation bucket. And I go over in the video a little bit, but this is the emitter tubing. There's emitters every 6 inches. And this, my local nursery called it spaghetti tubing, but it is what you connect this tubing to the emitter tubing. Always buy one of these. I was cheap at first and didn't, and it made it much easier. Now we have garden kitty number 2 joining us. They are sisters. Sometimes they still fight. And then these are the goof plugs that you plug in when you make a mistake. I also use a lot of, not a lot, but I use the 90s to go from the pipe into the beds, because there's about 8 inches there. And then I use a lot of these. That, oops, where'd you go? That connects the two tubings together and actually helps you get into the poly tubing. And then lastly, this is my poke tool that you use to poke into the poly tubing. And we'll walk over to the poly tubing in a minute. But I lost my good one that has a little thing in the end to help you push it in. And I actually have 3 of these, and I'm already down to 1. So let's put it in this Ziploc sack here and zip it up. So I'm over here at the poly tubing, which I sometimes call 3/4 inch tubing. And I have 2 lines. Someday I'll separate out. And they go over here, right down in there, if you can see that white thing. And that's just attached to a normal hose splitter. See if I can get it from the other side. If you can see down in there, this daikon radish is in the way. So right there, there's 2 of them onto the hose splitter, and then that's just a black garden hose. So this black poly tubing is what everything gets punched into. Without me going over there, see those lines go into it. That valve is a little, let me see with my finger. Right there is a little turn off and on valve. But then, let's just walk over. It sounds confusing, it really does. It was overwhelming, and then I did one line. Oh, I forgot to cover up my ditch from this morning's project. So I need to go back in there. I don't know if you can see the hose. I added an extra hose into this bed. So in the poly tubing, I punctured into the poly tubing, come up, then a 90, and then this is 8 foot of emitter hose running down, and you can see this one. I forgot to remulch. I always keep it mulched because it somehow dries them out and the emitters don't work. So if you keep them mulched, they have worked over a year. So there's 4 in this bed. Most of them have 3, but this bed gets a lot more sun, and so I thought it needed another line. Then this is coming up into this bed, and there's 4 circles around there. Ooh, it needs more mulch too. This poly tubing goes over here, feeds this bed and that bed, and then goes down, and it feeds the rest of the garden. So that's how that works. So back over here to where these deep pressure valves go onto the hose. Let's walk back over. Garden kitty doing her business. Sorry, garden kitty. So that splitter runs to this black hose, comes over here, still bothering garden kitty, and then attaches into the timer here, which is off because I hand watered with fertilizer this morning. So I'm gonna turn it back on and it'll blink here in a second that it's gonna start again in 17 hours and 5 minutes. The rest of the video will walk you through a little bit of what I did, how I fixed these beds, how they had too many emitters and was getting too much water, and hopefully that fixes my problem. And thank you for watching this video, and we'll go ahead and start off into how I decided to fix the drip irrigation. But I'm gonna go back through and do 4 or 5 emitters. And so I'm gonna go get my drip irrigation and get on that. I also need to repair, I think, the section of this line in here. These peppers are struggling, and I just feel like the emitters are not getting enough. And I know when I did the emitters up front, if they're exposed to this direct sun, they eventually end up just like plugging or fusing their little hole together. I do want to put another line of drip in this bed and in this bed over here where I don't feel like it's getting enough. But that's my goal today, to get my drip semi-fixed. There's a short-term solution that I will need to figure out a better solution going into next summer. I got a lot on my plate. Everyone has a lot on their plate, but I got to pack, get ready, finish up some things, get ready to head up to the summer, to the ranch. So this drip irrigation is on the same line. This Tractor Supply fabric pot, and these 3 are all on the same one. So I'm going to tap in right here and attempt to fix it here. So let's redo this line. What I'm going to do is, I'm not going to cut it. First, I'm going to move the mulch back so I can see what I'm working with. I got some garden staples in here. You need the staples until the hose warms up, and then will stay into place. And 11 emitters. I'm gonna go down to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm gonna cut it here. I'm gonna cut it there, and then I can take this out over here. This is where the drip goes into the spaghetti to go into the next bucket. So I am going to need to cut it here to reconnect this. And this is where I say where I get thrifty and I use a knife and I cut that off. But I'm not going to do that right now because I have quite a few of them. So I'll just put it back in here. And get my tool. So I'm going to cut it on the other side of the spaghetti. Now, I am going to reuse this piece. I actually need one of these. I'm not doing this on camera. Now, if you use your saliva on either ends of these, it's easier to get in. Because it's hard to get in. Trust me, it is hard. So, pardon me. So then you just push it in. And if your tube is warm, or some people say they put the tube in just hot water real quick, give it a shot of hot water, it works. And then I'm going to come over here and connect it into here. Maybe you can see. I don't want to get any dirt in there. And then push it in. I just really thought these would need more water, being the fabric beds, but I was wrong. So now I'm just going to kind of realign the emitters, moving the mulch a little bit. Don't die, little guy. So that the emitter is kind of by the plants. Garden kitty. So it comes in, hopefully it's for this plant, this is for this 2 plants, it's kind of in between, coming over here to that plant, that one is that plant. Cover up at least the emitter portion of the tubes. Watched a video, kind of scared me. Scott Head, the black gumbo gardener, how he had problems with his straw. I have lucked out the 2 years that I have gotten straw that it wasn't sprayed with weed control and killed my garden, because I either grow alfalfa or barley or whatever the straw left over is. So now I'm just going to continue on to each one and trim those down, and then I will do all the pots, redo some over there. Maybe I'll show you, I'm going to put pause on this, but I'll show you when I tap into the black pipe over there. And I watched a lot of videos when I did my drip, and just YouTube drip irrigation, not drip tape. I thought I wanted drip tape. Maybe I still did. I don't know. Sprinkler will talk me out of it. But the Epic Gardener, I watched his, and then I was able to decide how many I wanted. And in my 4x8 beds, there is 7 emitters, and the 2x4 beds, there's 3 emitters. Although, like I said, I feel like this couple of beds just need another emitter, so I'm going to do that. All right, I'm going to continue on. Okay, I'm going to build one more drip line emitter for this bed. And I'm going to do a little different than I did originally over a year ago. I learned some things. I learned my kitties like to garden with me. Yeah, I'm poopies. Building the line. I'm going to get in the bucket, okay? So you're going to take your spaghetti and roughly measure from the PVC down here. So I'm going to roughly measure up from where I will tap in. So I'm going to go about there. I'm going to go ahead and cut it. Going to put a straight piece in that will tap into the 3/4 inch PVC line. And push it all the way down. Now I'm going to do a 90-degree turn. Find one here. That's T. I have some new ones here. There we go. Here's a 90. Going to put the 90 in. Push it all in. Then, so I'm using 3 existing pieces that I cut off the fabric bags because they had too many. So I'm going to need to connect them together. And I'm going to make this the end piece because it already has a goof plug on it right here that closes up the hose. So that's going to be the end piece. But this one had a goof plug on it. So I'm going to need to cut that off. And I need a straight piece. And yes, I did use my saliva on these. See, they just go in so much easier. So that connects that one. Alright, got them all connected. Down here, this must have been a piece connecting to a next tub, so I just got to cut this end off. Back to my original little piece that I made. It has the 90 on it. Why are you so dirty? Going to now put this 90 into the long line. Okay, so this piece right here gets tapped into this 3/4 inch polytubing. I think that's called polytubing. I call it PVC. Pretty sure it's polytubing. So I am going to
one for your first installation. I had one that poked and then on this end helped you push down in, and I misplaced it, so I had to buy these generic ones at like Ace Hardware. They work, it's just a little harder to push this piece in. So alright, let's see if I can get down there and do this. This is where you gotta get down and dirty and on the ground. So I want it more in the back part of the bed because I feel like that's where I'm having the watering issue. So I am going to tap in right here. So I'm going to push straight down and poke a hole. Now you can see in there water dripping out. So now I got to take this end and plug it into that hole. And this is where it gets hard. It's hard to push in. Oh, lucky day. So got it plugged in to the hole. Pick up my little pokey tool so I don't lose it because I don't know where I lost my other one. Now, remember, I need to bury this in the straw because the emitters dry up. And I want them close to these peppers. So I'm just going to dig like a little hole in the mulch. And this is wet because I did fertilize this morning. So I'm just going to dig a little hole all the way down this bed. Not sure how much you're seeing of this. If you're just seeing my feet. Just digging a hole. Digging a hole. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to lay this in the hole. And when they're new, they don't like to stay, so I got to find a little... These are landscaping staples. They're cheaper if you buy them on Amazon. They were quite expensive for a set at Ace. Right there. So I'm just going to pin it down every once in a while in this little trough of mulch that I made. So this is the timer I have. I have it on off. I know I said I have a 4-port. I do. My 4-port broke last summer, and I had to buy a 2 by the time they sent me the warranty one out. So I turned it off this morning because I was doing a fertilizer that I was going to water the whole beds by hand. So I'm going to turn it on to auto. Don't want it to run too long. Auto is what I have set for my stations. So they are a little bit hard to set up. It's 9:49 in the morning. Start time is 7:30. How long? 15 minutes. How often? You can see that every day. You can change those. I'm not going to go through that. So, oops, back to auto. And if I want to come out and do a rain delay, I hit this button. It delays it for, you can push it a couple of different times. But since I want to, the one I don't like about this one is I can't do minutes. I just want to do manual real quick and see if everything's connected because I've left plugins off before and they're spraying. So I'm going to turn it on just for a couple minutes and then turn it off. So I'm going to hit manual. It says all. It won't give me the option. My other one did give me an option for 10 minutes. Now I heard it kick on. So I'm going to come over here and give it just a second because it needs to get through the water. Oh, I turned these off. So I bought these little valves. And I'm going to turn that on, which is to these both beds. I'm just going to test it real quick. Yep, it's coming up there. It's coming up there. Okay, I don't want to water. I was just making sure things are working. I will need to test the other ones. Last one I want to test was this important one on the pepper bed that was having issues. And I unfortunately covered it up. So yep. Sometimes I just make sure it goes in my hand. And then I know. Alright, I'm going to put a little bit more mulch on this, turn this off, and call it Call it a morning. Thank you for learning and growing with the woodpile. There's a learning curve to everything.